Schoolgirls are found dead in plastic bags in locations across cities several days after they are reported missing. The killer leaves a disfigured doll as a clue while kidnapping them. These girls have been brutally tortured while they were alive, like the doll in the gift. Can the police find out who the killer is? Hi, welcome to Indian Recaps. Today we will see a 2018 horror thriller called Ratsasan. The movie starts when a couple of dogs find the dead body of a girl named Samyukta inside a plastic bag in an open place of the city. In the next scene, an alarm clock keeps buzzing. Arun switches it off. Arun is an aspiring filmmaker who wants to make a dark psychopath movie. That is when he sees the Samyukta's death story in the newspaper. He cuts the story out and adds it to his movie research files. Arun is about 30 years old and without a job, who constantly tries to get some movie producers to commit to his story. But he fails to convince them every time. His family, on the other hand, is struggling to make the ends meet after his father's death and urges him to get a real job. Arun has no choice, especially after a lot of failures, and decides to take a job as a police officer that he got after his father's service in the department and with the influence of his brother-in-law Ramdas. But working as a police also, he tries to go to producers with his story. One day another girl, Amuda, is gone missing after coming out of his school. Her parents reports this in the police station. There was also a gift which was left near the house with the head of a doll brutally disfigured. Arun is asked to take the photographs of the doll head, but when he looked at the doll photos closely, he finds something interesting. The doll's face is disfigured in a way similar to the previous murder case of Samyukta. He tries to tell this to the case officer, with all the evidence suggesting that the one they are looking for is a psycho, not a rapist or a lover. A psycho who targets only schoolgirls, who just needs the pleasure of torturing them and not raping. He also says that they would find Amuda's body in similar way to Samyukta if they didn't take action immediately. But the case officer is a woman of great self-esteem and wouldn't take the words of an officer inferior to her. Later that day, the body of Amuda was found in another place in the city. This confirmed Arun's investigation was indeed on the right track. Her post-mortem report from Dr. Nandan says that Amuda was brutally tortured before her death, her teeth shattered, hair plucked out and eyes carved out and cut at several places with a knife. But no signs of rape was there. When they compared both of the murder cases, they finds out that both of the girls were murdered in the exact same way, suggesting both cases were linked. But the case officer is still not convinced, as they were not able to find any gift boxes with doll's face for the first murder of Samyukta. That is when Arun reveals that there was actually a gift box with the doll delivered to Samyukta, but it was delivered to her hostel room instead of her home. That's why they were not able to find it first. Now some of the officers are convinced, but they don't know how to solve this as there is no link between the two girls. Arun suggests that to force error in Psycho's moves, they need to stop making all of his actions public. Some psychos get motivation from people talking in fear about them, so they decides to dump the body of Amuda without any news. Then they starts to investigate about the doll, which is the only link between the murders. They finds out that in one particular shop there is a piece left of that exact same doll. Meanwhile, another girl named Mira goes missing. On investigating, it is found that her teacher Vijay saw her get into an auto rickshaw after her classes, but she is not able to recollect the number of the auto. But Arun gets the information that Mira's body is found dumped in the corporation bin in the city. He reaches there in an auto, and sees the body of Mira in a similar condition to the previous two cases. That is when he gets a call from Vijay. She says that she remember a red star logo in the back of the auto, and race written on the side of it. That was the exact same auto in which Arun came to that place. He arrests that auto rickshaw driver, but he reveals that he only drops girls in the house of a teacher named In Baraj. In Baraj lures schoolgirls to his house and asks this auto driver to drop her there, so they decides to go to his house to arrest him. When they reach In Baraj's house, he was not there. Upon seeing his photo, Ramdas reveals that he is the maths teacher of his daughter Amu. Upon checking further, they finds the bag of murdered girl Mira in there, and the doll head in the drawer. This confirmed that In Baraj would be the killer they are looking for. Meanwhile, In Baraj is at the school, trying to get Amu to his ways after failing her in the test. He asks her to close the door if she wants to pass the test next time. She closes the door and gets on her knees as asked by him, but Arun comes to her rescue just in time, and arrests In Baraj. Upon questioning him, he reveals that he didn't murder anyone, but molested schoolgirls just because he was lonely in his life and needed some excitement. That is why he lured Mira to his house, but upon seeing him mix some powder in the drinks that he was about to give her, she ran away from the house. But she was not able to get her bag when she tried to escape. He ran after her, but she was nowhere to be seen. He then saw a gift box on his gate just after this. No one believed his story. Everyone in the department is convinced that he is the murderer, and he is making up stories to get his head out of this case. The next day was Amu's birthday, but Arun had to go to the hospital from her birthday party when In Baraj tries to escape from the hospital, as he thinks they are trying to trap him for crimes he has not committed. but he gets killed in an encounter by Arun. Arun now thinks he may not be the killer they are looking for. That is when he gets the call from Ramdas. He says that Amu went missing from her birthday party. Arun hurries back to their house, but when he was about to enter the house he notices the gift box kept on the gate of the house, suggesting that the killer kidnapped Amu. Arun remembers there was a boy who shot videos in the function. When he checked the camera he finds that Amu is talking to someone outside the house and some kind of bubble is coming out from the side of the wall. Also sometime before that, one of her friends took her out. But when that friend was confronted he says he took her out to propose to her, but when saw someone coming in a van and talking to Amu he thought that might be her relatives and left the place in fear. He was not able to remember the details of the van as it was dark. 2 days has passed since the missing of Amu and they were not able to find the van. That is when he finds out that a plastic bag is popping out of the back of his car. When he checked it was Amu's dead body. He stood there for seconds in shock and horror. Seeing him uneasy his brother-in-law asks him what is in there, but he wouldn't let him look in there. But after fighting with Arun he sees her body. He couldn't believe his eyes and starts crying. When her mother arrived in the scene, he tries to act normal and asks Arun to take her without her mother knowing. He does as his brother told him, and takes her for post-mortem. Arun is then suspended for 3 months and relieved from the case duty after shooting in barrage. He is devastated that he was not able to protect someone so close to him, and thinks how can he protect the society if he can't save his own family. That is when it comes to his attention that Mira used a hearing aid just like Vijay's speech-impaired daughter Kayal. Her hearing aid had recording facilities. So he gets the hearing aid of Mira from his connections in the department and goes through its recordings. The recordings had a strange piano music track playing while she was getting killed. He gets an idea to play this music in radio and asks people if they had heard anything like that before. After trying for a very long time, one girl calls at last, and says that she heard this music in her school's annual day function. Upon inquiring in the schools of the dead girls, he gets the video of their annual day function. When he goes through the videos he finds out that there was a magic program by an old lady during the function. She invited Samyukta, the first victim, to the stage to do a special trick with this music playing in the background. When he asks for her details, the principal says that the lady was speech impaired and came up to them and she volunteered to do the show for free. So they didn't collect her details. It is also found that there was a magic show in all the schools of the murdered girls by the same lady. She is using the magic show to get close to her target and become friends with them. So they try to find the next magic show event in the schools nearby. It turns out that 2 days before, one of the school had a magic show. So they gets there and goes through the function videos and finds the girl she invited in the show to be Sanjana. Then they goes to Sanjana's class to give awareness to the whole class regarding basic safety measures, and gives them his personal number. He asks them to save this in their phone then and there. Also he gives special attention to Sanjana, asking her whether she saved his number or not. He doesn't say anything about the magic show or the murderer so that they don't panic. When the school is dispersed, they follow Sanjana closely, and waits for the killer near her house. That is when a van comes there and the person driving starts to speak with the girl, so they get ready to charge. Just at that moment their vision is blocked by a lorry, so they run to her house. But Sanjana was there in her house safe and sound. It is then revealed that it was not Sanjana they were following but Sangeeta, and they were twins. So all this time they were following the wrong girl. She also says that Sanjana goes to a music class after school. When they went there they finds the doll gift box there. Then they try to trace her phone and stars trailing the tracker. Sanjana is lying unconscious in the back of the old lady's car. And they lost the connection with her phone when they reached Brito Colony. So they can't track her exact location. Sanjana is now inside a building in Brito Colony with the lady and is scared. She tells her she need to go but lady doesn't do anything and just keeps on playing the piano. Then Sanjana asks her where the bathroom is. She just points to the bathroom. Sanjana goes to the bathroom and tries to contact Arun. She was able to contact him but the lady sees this and attacks her. When Arun reached the place Sanjana was lying on the floor and the lady escaped in the van. Checking that place they find a photo album. Seeing those photos in the album he remembers something. He goes to his movie research room and finds the cutout he took years ago similar to the pictures in the album, which had the story of the lady. The lady's real name was Mary Fernandez, a magician and a pianist. She had a son named Christopher, who had a genetic condition of having a body older than his age. None of the students accepted Christopher as their friend. But Sophia did. She became her best friend. Meanwhile his mother started teaching him magic and she wanted him to be a great magician. That is when Christopher started to have feelings for Sophia. When he proposed, Sophia didn't accept it and tried to make him understand. But failing to do so she started avoiding him. But he tried to talk with her consistently. So she told him about his condition and that he is impotent and can't have a relationship with him. Sophia's friend heard this conversation and tells this to her friends. He was heartbroken, but Mary tries to console her. The next day when he reached school, all of the students start to bully him by teasing him because of his condition. Thinking that Sophia may have told them about his condition, he starts to get very angry with her. Mary just wants to see her son happy again. So, the next day Mary meets Sophia and asks her to be friends with Christopher again and give her a gift. It was a disfigured head of a doll. Then she kills the girl and gets arrested. She got released after her sentence, and the news was both of them got killed in an accident. But upon looking at old pictures and the new ones, Arun finds a clue that could change the course of this case. The clue was Mary had 5 fingers in her right hand in the older photos, but in the new photos from the school magic show she has 6 fingers. But, her son Christopher had 6 fingers, meaning Christopher is the one who killed these girls disguised as a lady. He is also the one who killed Sophia with the help of Mary. So he takes this evidence to the investigating officer, and tells her that they are going the wrong direction as everyone will be looking for a lady, but the real killer is Christopher, a 50 to 55-year-old male. But she is filled with ego to even listen to this. Meanwhile, Christopher enters Vijay's house and takes Kyle away with him. Vijay calls Arun to tell him this. But the officer is not taking any of this and tries to hit Arun. That is when Constable Pasupati stops her and cuffs her to the window, and hands the service revolver to him, asking him to save the child. He also says that one can never make an egoistic understand. That is when Venkat, a colleague of Arun, finds a van with a loose back wheel. It was Christopher's van. He asks him to fasten the wheel. He then gets a call from Arun with details of Christopher, and he notices that the one driving the car is actually the Christopher that Arun was talking about. So he points the gun at him and he conveys the location to Arun. He tries to arrest him, but he escapes by distracting him with magic and killing him. Meanwhile, Kyle tries to run away from him. Arun calls Dr. Nandan, who was near that place, to look out for Kyle and Christopher. He finds them and takes her to his hospital. But Christopher kills him. Kyle tries to escape, but Christopher gets her attention and mesmerizes her with some magic tricks with birds and bubbles. That is when Arun reached there, but there was no signs of Kyle or Christopher there. As he was about to leave, he sees the bubbles coming out of the air hole. And he remembers the bubbles that he saw in the video when Amu went missing. So he rushes back there and rescues Kyle, killing Christopher in a magic fight battle. Arun gets seriously injured. Movie ends with Arun in the hospital getting a call from a producer telling him that this would be the right time to make a movie based on his script. Moral of the story is, better things happen to those who wait, and don't ever propose to your friend. If you liked this, here is another video you should watch.